up guys, Jordan Nothing Gilbert here, and today with another MDL Pro Tip, we're going to talk about using flashbangs skillfully. It's a very fun topic, and I'm going to break this down into a couple simple sections, so hopefully I can help you guys use flashbangs better and realize how impactful you could be if you add a good series of flashbangs to your arsenal. As we go in game, I'm going to talk about three main categories. I'm going to talk about the different types of throws. Obviously, a lot of you just think of left click and right click. There's the middle click and two different types. I'm going to talk about the techniques for using these different clicks. And then I'm going to talk about how to use them and utilize them rather. And kind of just some extra insight to go along with that. Alright? So, first things first. You know there's a left click and you know there's a right click. Did you know there's two different types of middle clicks? So, with the first throw, we have the left click here. So I'm just going to stand at long. Stand in the back of long. Left click will throw. I'm going to show you guys the different distances, right? Now, what a lot of people don't know is when you left click and then right click, it goes a distance. And then when you right click and then hold left click, it goes a different distance. And then when you right click, it just goes in front of you, right? So I aim the same distance for all of those. Farthest, 1 and 2, and then the right click. So these two are holding both mouse buttons down at the same time, but one starting when you held left first, and one starting when you hold right first. So holding left first, I think, goes farther. So that's the first one. That's the right one. Okay, so the holding right first went farther. All right. The reason this is important is because we're going to talk about lineups. So now that you guys know the different types of throws, the next thing I want to talk about is the techniques. So we know that there's 4 different distances. Generally speaking, aside from lineups, lineups are when you aim at a particular thing and you know where the flash is going to go. One lineup I have right here is you go to the corner and you aim above the cross and you flash right above the cross. I know that flash is going to blind the guy holding the door, right? That's what I call a lineup. So for lineups, it's important to know the different right and left click distances. One example is on Inferno, when you're arch side middle as a CT and you want to throw a nice double click pop flash over the roof in the middle. If you have a lineup but you do the left versus right first with the double click flash, you might hit the roof versus sync it properly in the middle. Maybe I could show you that example separately. But what I want to show is the different techniques for utilizing these things. So lineups, like I just showed you, are anytime you have a lineup where the flash is set, right? So if you know exactly how it's going to land. I'm trying to think of another on this map. There's not a ton on Dust 2, right? You might find one here where you say, okay, I'm going to aim at the height of this right on the wall. And I know that's going to land a little past the corner. And so you go in a server and you know where that's going to land. You know, possibly if the guy's standing very tight, it might not blind him, but if he's out here, it's going to land him. That's a lineup, right? Lineups are also known as pop flashes. A pop flash is the term because it pops and then you're blind, right? You don't have airtime, right? This is not a pop flash, right? Because it banks off the wall. The CT has time to turn from it, ergo, not a pop flash. Next type of technique is a backstep. So a backstep flash is just when you are primed with your grenade and you backstepped with release. Now this is with the left click I just threw, and that's a good way to control tempo if you just want to simply left click and then you could run with it, right? Then it brings me to the next technique, the walk then run. The walk then run is nice when you use the double click because say you know an enemy, whatever side he's on, is right here, and you want to surprise him with a flash, but you have to flash yourself. You don't have a teammate to flash, and you also want to kill him or have an advantage on him as he's maybe coming unblind with your own flash. So one thing I like to do is if you're walking up, I call it the walk then throw. You just double click, you throw the flash, and then right as it's about to pop, you start running. Because what's going to happen, and ideally you have it shorter to the corner. So maybe something like this, where you go boom, boom, boom. You throw the double click, that was too short. Come here, and this is why practice is important. And then you start running right before it pops, and the guy will get blind and not know that the flash is coming, right? Because you threw it far enough away. One thing, and I'll get to it, the utilizing thing, is the pin pull makes sound. But we'll get back to that in a second. So that's the third type, right? Walk then run. So you could do that with any type. You could do walk left click, but left click's the hardest to control because then you have to backstep and then you want to gain ground while you're throwing it. So the two you're going to want to do is either the right click, because you can just walk and then start running, and it's kind of like your own little pop flash. Obviously, you have to make sure it goes around the corner. Or a double click, then start running. The left click is the best if you're like in this scenario. I'd say left click would probably be the best because you're going to throw it. Just take a step. And the reason I like to step right before I peek, guys, is a lot of times if you throw a flash and the CT's holding here, or the T, it doesn't matter what side, here's your step, they're going to look, right? Because if this guy's like turning from flash and then he hears your footsteps like starting here, he's going to turn right before the flash goes off. So it's a good way to catch maybe not a so advanced player, right? A top tier player might know, and he'll have the flash timing in his head if he hears your pin pull. And then he'll turn and kill you maybe. But it's a good little technique. It's the same reason you'll see pros shoot before they flash. They'll do something like this. They'll go... because they want the opponent to hear you shoot and then react to the shot. Even though they know flash is coming, they're going to be scared and try to kill you, because a lot of people rather have the chance to see you right before they get blind and kill you and still get blind than turn from your flash and die, right? So it's a good technique to either run right before the flash pops or shoot. The next technique, which kind of is what I just said, but it's not exactly the same, is peeking with the flash. Meaning you throw the flash and way before it's going to go off, you peek. So it would be like if you're walking here and you throw it and then you just peek right away. Because he sees the flash coming and instinctually he might turn, and then you get that little bit of missed crosshair placement from him, even if he doesn't fully turn and he goes like that. You know, I like how I added a sound effect. He's going to turn from that, and that's why the turn flash is good. It's always good when you think a guy's on edge, like he's low HP, and you don't want to peek because maybe he has an op. You throw this flash, double up, shoot, and peek before it even goes off, right? It's a nice little way to juke the opponent. And then last but not least, the one technique that you could also throw into the mix is a jump throw. Various jump throws. Obviously, if you have a lineup, you could throw a jump throw like this, or you might have a lineup to blind the opper. You might have a jump throw where it's just an underhand, where you know the guy's like spawn ramp and you run up with the underhand, you aim kind of high, you throw an underhand, and it goes. It's just a different way to control the flight of the flash so that you could peek with it, right? Because if you want to throw a left click and you're running up with it, then you're going to have to turn, and then he might get blind and then move down away from your line of sight before you can see him, right? So it's obvious why you'd want to use the jump throw sometimes, because if you just simply double click, this one would actually work in this scenario, but some scenarios it might not give you the height and the distance control you want. Literally use whichever one you want, guys. I just want to give you the different options and different examples, right? You could, to peek with flash doesn't need to be on the ground. It could be off the wall and you could peek with it. It could be a bank jump throw off the wall like this, because you know you want him to react to your jump, and maybe he's an opper, so you want to actually jump and make him miss the shot while you're throwing it, right? Or you just want the simple underhand, so you're like, okay, I know the underhand feel, I'm really good at the underhand, so I'm going to peek with this one, but after. So I'm going to walk, jump throw, and then I'm going to come out and peek, right? And you knew the distance because you can control it. So find your comfort zone. It's just like in golf. Some people like different distance shots. You might like the double click always or the right click always, and you might like the jump throw more than this throw. You might like this throw more than the jump throw, right? So feel that out. Last but not least, how do we utilize these different flashbangs, Jordan, right? So there's obvious reasons you use flashbangs, guys. And one little anecdote I want to share with you guys really quick. When I play viewer games a lot with my viewers, a lot lower level players, if you ever look at the stats after, I play on a service called Pop Flash, ironically, and they have stats for flash time that you flash your opponent. And if you look, 99% of the time, my flash duration to my opponent is like 3 to 4x all my teammates and everyone else in the server. Maybe not combined, but like I'll have like 450 or whatever seconds or whatever flash damage, and people have like 30 seconds or whatever. Or I'll have 45 seconds, people have 6 seconds, because I know how important flashbangs are, and especially when you're playing against guys who are even skilled to you or worse than you, where they don't know and they're kind of playing obvious spots. Flashes are so key, guys, and a lot of people just want to focus on fragging. But flashes getting more full kills. All right, final section, really quick. Let's go through this. Utilizing, I want to talk about, first off, the pin pull makes sound. So realize if a guy hears you throw a grenade right here, if you're right here, if he's down there and you're right here, and you throw this flash, he's going to hear you pull that. He's going to hear the little like gear, the shift kind of, you know, that sound, that clicking or whatever. I don't even know how to make the sound effect. They hear that if they're close enough. So that's why a lot of times pop flashes are very good. Because if you're holding down here, if a CT is holding here, and you want to flash him, he's going to hear this flash. And also he's going to see it. A flash down here, he's not going to hear. So pop flashing for teammates, or just to push someone off the angle, is generally the best thrown from a distance. But obviously you can't chase them down. Which comes to my next point. Pushing someone off an angle is good. If you can chase them down, it's even better. So having a flash like this one is really good. Oops. To blind the opera on the ramp, right? But if he could simply get blind, hide, and then re-peek, you're not really taking advantage. So when you use pop flash, it's generally to take ground from your opponent or to push them off an angle so that you could help a teammate take ground. I mean, you're basically always wanting to take ground or to scare them, right, off an angle. If you pop flash an offer right here, he probably doesn't want to come back and peek this angle. He'll probably want to peek this one because he's assuming maybe you're holding for him, right? So a good pop flash is always good for that reason. But like I said, if you can use it to take ground, you know that guy's blind, you have your teammate ready here, boom, the opper gets blind, he drops into CT spawn or something, right? It's the same for mid B. If you know you want to take mid B, it's really powerful if your team's already out mid, right? If this guy's going to smoke CT spawn, and he knows there could be a guy playing like door or window, having a flash from back here is so much more powerful. Throw it farther, obviously. Have a lineup. There's a couple different lineups you can use. I think this one Stanislaw uses a lot. This one, a little bit farther. You guys get the point. It's very easy to practice. It'll blind this guy, and it'll blind this guy perfectly. And your teammate, they won't have a chance to react. Boom, they get blind. This guy doesn't turn until it's about to pop. He hears flashbang far in the hole. Turns, boom, the flash goes. He runs up to B, and now he's scaling with the flash. So that's why pop flash is really good. Catching someone off guard, guys. Obviously, the walk, then run, and the peek width are the best, right? So like I said, catching someone off guard, the walk, then run is really good, right? The kind of walking underhand, but he's going to hear it, but you're going to run him, you're going to catch him a little off guard. The lineup flash is obviously another good way to charge him down. Cash B, I really love my double click flash. Right, if you know like a guy was holding door or something, and you really wanted to catch him off guard, you could do something like this where you double click, and then you just charge in. They're going to get blind, and then you're just going to immediately scale in the sight. And that's a really smart way to take parts of the map. So I hope this helped you guys. There's so many different types of flashes. I would say the key points in the final conclusion there are the pin pull makes sound. Utilize all these different ways to throw flashes and get creative, guys. Come in a server, turn on this command svgrenade_trajectory1 with svcheats1 on in your own server offline with bots, and just practice throwing different flashes like this, baking them off the wall, right clicking them off the wall. Maybe you want to see how a right click goes. Literally just throwing right click. See how I look up when I throw them? Because if you just simply throw right click, it banks more times on the ground. The higher arch you throw it, the faster it pops when it hits the ground. There's less bounces. What are less bounces good for, guys? Your opponent can't react as fast the higher the arch with your underhand. So all these tips can go into you guys understanding just how to use flashbangs more skillfully. And maybe I'll do another Nades for Noobs series where I actually go over some specific lineups. But we'll save that for another video, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.